Hello and welcome to another episode of the So Here For It podcast. My name is Amy Mingan and today we are talking about money. We're talking specifically about what you focus on because some of the conversations that I have with you guys, it is really about you're focusing on what you don't have. Have you ever done that? Have you ever said, oh, well, I just have to wait until I have X amount of money in my account, or I have to wait until this thing happens before I can go and have that thing that I really want? And it's a really common phrase that I would love to help you shift today. There's a lot of neuroscience in this episode. There are a lot of tangible takeaways. So buckle up, get ready. We are going to talk money today. Now, I want you to think about how often you're actually feeling stuck around money. Is there some form of stuckness, stickiness, something you just want to avoid? Because I definitely have been there. 100% I have been there. My husband and I used to have conversations about money. It is one of our values. It is one of our values to have things transparent and out in the open with each other. And I remember when I was first in business, it was very embarrassing for me because it's not like a job. Being an entrepreneur is nothing like a job. So where we went from having a consistent income from a 5-day-a-week job to an inconsistent income and building a business, there was a lot of nervous system change work that needed to happen inside of me that I was just simply not ready for. So then to have conversations around money, it brings up a lot of emotion. It brings up sometimes some shame. It brings up some embarrassment. And those sorts of feelings, when we're talking feelings and we're talking money, it can feel really uncomfortable to have conversations, not only with our loved ones, but also with our coach or mentor or inside group masterminds. And that's why I like to bring it up, because I'm here to have hard conversations. I'm here to help you grow. And I myself am here to grow as well. So I want to show you through today some of the things that I have found really, really helpful, some of the stories that I can share on behalf of my clients where they've overcome like complete adversity around money and they now live a really great life. And it doesn't actually take that much in order to shift your money mindset. So this will be a different sort of episode to what you've ever heard before on this podcast. And I feel like this is a really important conversation for no matter where you are in your life, no matter where you are in your business, this will be applicable. So I want you to think about how often in your life you've said, I can't afford that. I know I get triggered whenever somebody says that to me. I think it's like, I can't afford that. I'm like, okay. How I like to reframe it, how I like to rephrase it is more about saying, I'm not prioritizing buying that right now. And how I say it when this is a really good example. When the kids say, oh, I really want to buy this thing, or let's eat out today, or insert whatever it is that isn't, just not the time to buy it. I just say, look, I wasn't planning on buying that today. I wasn't planning on it. And it's something that my daughter's like, oh, you weren't planning on it. I know, but I really want it. But there's something really, really great that we can gift our loved ones with. And it is the gift of delayed gratification. In a world where you think back to when we were in the 90s and even early 2000s, we had to wait for that next episode an entire week. And now we can binge watch whatever we want on Netflix or Amazon and watch an entire series if we wanted to. You think about it. If we have the money sitting in the account, even when I have the money sitting in the account, it isn't I can't afford it. It's is this a priority right now? So that's just one of the things that I want you to have a think about. How often are you saying I can't afford it? Because the more often you say it, the more often you're going to stay stuck. The more often you're reaffirming that it's a negative affirmation. You're reaffirming it to yourself every single time you say it. So your language matters. I want you to start focusing on the language that you're actually using and be more deliberate around the words that you use. So instead of saying I can't afford it, you're saying that's not a priority for me right now. I'm not going to spend my money on that thing. I'm going to put it towards this. And bit by bit, you're going to start getting these like little micro wins inside of your nervous system. It'll feel safer for you to actually recirculate that money. So like some people will say, I want to spend the money. You might have a spending account, but I say we recirculate it because it allows space for more to come in. Money works in a circular fashion. It comes in, it flows out. It flows in, it flows out. And once you actually understand how money loves to be managed, which I'll get into a little bit later, it is all going to land for you today. So I want you to think about, when it comes to money, how well trained is your brain? And when you think about that, if you were to write out all the things that your money mindset says inside of your brain each day, and this is a great exercise if you want to, write out some of the common phrases that goes through your head. And then I want you to just go, okay, well, is this actually mine? Did I get taught this? Because chances are you probably did. Chances are there was someone in your life who might have been a bit of a tight ass, or might have been scared, or might have been living in scarcity, or might have been totally abundant and so then just like willy-nilly spent money left, right, and center. It depends on their money mindset as to how you are programmed. But remember, you're an adult now. You get to choose your programming. This is a wonderful thing. So don't feel bad for the fact that somebody else programmed you. You were doing the best you could at the time. But what I want you to do is to start bringing awareness to it, because that is step one of personal development. It is step one of growth, is becoming aware. As soon as we bring the unconscious to the conscious, we're able to take action on it. And that's why I like to work with the subconscious mind and reprogramming so much, is because you're never stuck. You're just in a program. And we can always change the program. That's the beauty of it. You never have to stay exactly where you are. In fact, if you do stay exactly where you are, it is a slow move backwards. You will then become the victim of your circumstances if you stay exactly where you are. If you're not stepping forward into a growth zone and getting uncomfortable, particularly with your conversations around money, particularly with managing your money, then you're not growing. So it's a really, really good idea to start facing this head on. I know it's going to be uncomfortable for some of you, and it's going to be so helpful for where you are right now and where you want to be. I want you to go in and identify your specific scarcity script. So I remember when we could probably go back about 10 years ago when I was early in business, I would say things like, it's so annoying. I've got like 4 clients this week, and then a bill comes in and I've got to pay that, and I've got to pay for my insurance, and all these things would come up and I'd only just have enough. And so when it came to tax time, it would always be like this break even, which I was never really mad about, but that was my scarcity script. It was like I was only just having enough. There was this just enoughness about it. And so for me, that was frustrating because I wanted to be able to take the kids away on a holiday. I wanted to be able to do a few extracurricular things, and we just didn't quite get that extra amount in my business in order to do that, right? So it was really important for me to figure out, like, what was my scarcity script? And if I was always just having enough, how do I have more than enough? That was the thing that I started to really, really feel into. And the way to do that was to actually start recognizing where my patterns were playing out. How they were playing out for me is I was actually scared of burning out. I had just come out of burnout. So Ivy would have been like 3, no, even younger. She would have been a toddler. And it was a lot. I had 2 little kids. My husband was studying full time. I felt quite burnt out. I felt very tired all the time. Everyone relied on me. And it was a really, really hard time to make sure that we had just enough, let alone go for more than enough. And granted, I have worked hard in order to get to where I am, but the version who I am now doesn't actually work as hard as how hard I worked back then. And I'm going to tell you why. It's all to do with my nervous system. It's all to do with my mindset around money and knowing how money likes to move into specific spaces. Now, money for me back then was like, it was either one account or another account, and then that was it. We were either saving or we were spending, and that was it. There was no investment mentality going on. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about investing, but I'll just talk about it from my own point of view. This is not to be misconstrued for financial advice. This is just purely me sharing my story with you today. So I want you to think about what scarcity stories have played out for you. You might have said things like that. You might have said, oh, well, I really need a bookkeeper, but I have to be making more money before I do that. And then I ask the question, but why? Is it ever too early to start managing your money? Is it ever too early to learn how to use your accounting software? Is it ever too early to know your numbers, what's coming in, what's going out. A lot of people avoid it until they absolutely cannot avoid it. And I know I avoided it for a really long time because of all the emotions that were involved with it, right? But as soon as I stepped in and I started having the hard conversations, a lot of them in tears, a lot of them thinking, oh, why don't I know this? I'm a strong, smart, capable woman. Why do I not know how to do this? And it's simply because I hadn't learnt that skill set yet. And that brings me to the next point. There are so many people that are finding all the spaces where they can compare themselves and finding all the spaces where they feel like an imposter. This happens in business all the time. And so you're finding all of these people who you think are better than you, who you assume are more successful than you, who you assume have it together. But let me just say this. Nobody's got it all figured out just yet. And so if you do your best and you start upskilling in the way of learning to manage your money, in the way of having the hard conversation, in the way of getting uncomfortable every single day and moving towards that goal that you're going towards, that is going to change everything for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to walk the whole staircase in one day. I'm talking one step a day. That is actually what builds really strong habits and a really great growth mindset. Because if you're not growing, then again, you're stagnating. If you feel like you're stuck in your comfort zone, ask yourself, what is the thing I've been avoiding? Because that is the exact thing that you get to do today in order to start overcoming some of these things. So I want you to start thinking about, because this is a really common thing inside the practitioner mindset. Practitioners are caretakers. And a caretaker often puts themselves last. A caretaker often is a people pleaser. It could be unconscious, but at the end of the day, a caretaker isn't going to take from other people. The caretaker is used to servicing everybody else. So you're used to making sure that the kids are okay, your partner's okay, that everyone's got their lunches ready. Have you fed yourself? Did you make sure you got your 30 grams of protein at breakfast today? Have you been for your walk in the sunshine? Have you stretched your body? Have you breathed? All of these things actually affect your money mindset. If you are in more of a receiving mode, that means your body is the receptor, the receiver. If you're in a receiving mode, you switch on to the magic of life. When you're in scarcity, you're more contracted, which means you're switched off to the magic of life. There's a huge difference between how you feel when your heart is open and you're more expansion oriented, and a huge difference to when you are contracted and your heart is closed. So I want you just to tune in with your body. There's no right or wrong, but it's starting to tune into your body and go, what are the signs that I am in scarcity? Or what are the signs that I'm in abundance? And when am I in this more neutral zone? I always aim to be more neutral and then notice if I'm swinging either side and do a course correction as I go. It's much easier to be in neutrality where you're not making full-on emotionally blown decisions all day long, because that's very taxing to the nervous system. It's very draining to what you're doing creatively. And also, it's like there's no stability in that. So my goal is always to be the stable one. And if I'm not, that's okay too, because we're all human, right? So I want you to have like a really quick audit of where you are on your priority list right now and have a think about, all right, well, if I went higher on my priority list, what abundance is available to me there? What abundance is available to me when I'm in receiving mode? Because let's say you booked, and I'm going to the spa tomorrow with a friend. You book the spa and you go and you're sitting in the magnesium pool and you have the sauna and you're having like these really beautiful relaxation moments, compared to if you didn't allow yourself to do that. And then you're sitting at home, you might be cold and you're like trying to think of ideas and you're trying to make ends meet and you're trying to get that new client on social media. You can see how the newer version that actually allows things to come to her versus the one that thinks she has to work really hard and hustle and grind to get it. You can see how one is a little more abundance oriented and the other is a little more scarcity oriented. It doesn't mean that you never show action. It's what place are you coming from when you're showing the action? Are you coming from a scarcity motivated place or are you coming from an abundance motivated place? Feels really, really different inside the body. So that's why I encourage you to tune into yourself. Take a breath. Notice how you're feeling. Relax yourself more often than what you think you need to. And that is going to change your money mindset hugely. Now, I want to share with you a client story. And I have shared about her on social media before. She is an incredible naturopath down in country Victoria. And when she first came to me, she was super scared. She was scared about money. She was leaving her part-time job. She realized that it was taking up a lot of time, and she knew that she only needed a couple of extra clients per week in order to cover that job, and she would have so much more time to herself. So she was willing to take that risk. And when I asked her prices, she was charging less than what I was charging when I first came out of uni back in 2009. I'm like, okay, we really need to raise your prices. You need to be charging at least $100 an hour. She wasn't even charging $100 an hour. And she was dead set, so scared to raise her prices. She thought that no one would ever book in. And I said, look, let's give it a go. And I pretty much held her hand through it. And she's like, oh, Amy, I've never done a discovery call. I don't know if I can put that in my stories. She's actually a really good speaker, shows up in her stories. And then she messages me. She's like, oh my God, I got my first discovery call. What the heck do I do? What do I offer them? And so we quickly created this bundle of consults. And she sold that bundle of consults. It was 3 consults. And she's like, I can't believe it. That's the most that anyone's paid for consults ever. I said, yeah. They are seeing the value in what you're providing. Can you see that now? Prior to that, she was not even noticing. Now, fast forward 3 months later now, just this last week, she has had a $3,000 week. So she used to only make $3,000 a month. That used to just be her average month. And now she had a $3,000 week. She has a premium package now. She does discovery calls more often. She actually speaks on stages. She's being a sought-after speaker in her local area. She runs workshops that sell out. So this all started by her having the bravery to look at her numbers. This started with her really tuning into her nervous system and starting to feel safer around money. But most importantly, she knew when to ask for help. And granted, she did the work. Like I'm not claiming all of this as a me thing. This is her doing the work. I am the supportive role. I take people through a facilitation process. She did the work to make that 3K in a week. It is absolutely mind-blowing for her, and it is life-changing. And I know to some people they might be like, oh, well, that's not a lot of money. But for her, it is more than enough. She's finally hit the more than enough place. And we have talked about, she's downloaded my book list, and we've talked about her learning how to invest and learning her numbers, learning how her bookkeeping works. She has an accountant now. Like there is something about money loves being managed. And if we're dwelling on what's not there, it is almost impossible to attract more. So I want you to start thinking about the neuroscience around this. So if we were to think about one of our old scarcity stories for a minute, if you keep telling yourself that scarcity story, it becomes a well-wired neural pathway in the brain. The brain has something called the reticular activating system. And what it does is it searches for more evidence. So if you say, I can't afford it, or if you say, I only have just enough, or if you say, insert whatever your scarcity story is, your scarcity script, it's going to keep finding that evidence. Now, how do we do this? We need to flip the script. We need to reframe. We need to go and catch ourselves. And if we say one of our things of like, I only have just enough, you could just quickly ask yourself a curious question. So don't judge yourself. I want you to go, there's that story again. I wonder what it would be like, or how would I feel? What would it be like if I actually had more than enough? And let yourself sit in the feeling of that, because you will notice you'll go from closed-hearted to open-hearted, from scarcity to abundance, from contracted to expanded. Just like that, very, very quickly. We just need to reframe and then create a curious question for ourselves. And what this actually does inside the brain, it takes us out of the limbic system where we're feeling all of the feelings, and it puts us into the frontal lobe, into our reasoning center. And our reasoning center just is obsessed with finding solutions. So then we're creating a new neural pathway, right? So it's like, oh yeah, what would that feel like? And it's like, oh, here's a new way that we can feel. Here's some new evidence of how we could feel that way. Let's start building that. Now, the next really important thing that I want to say to you is it's really important to show action on that. So if you're still saying the scarcity thing and you're still expecting the same results, you're going to keep getting the same results. So if you're wanting to step more into your abundant self, your open-hearted self, your expanded self, start tuning into more, having more. What would more feel like? It doesn't mean working hard. It means you're searching for that feeling. So go toward that feeling. So to me, it feels very open. It feels free. It feels safe. It feels warm. Go for the warmth. That feeling is just incredible when you tune into it, right? That is what is very, very attractive to money and clients. The more often you can tune into that feeling, the more often people will book in with you. They will pay in full. They will say, what's the highest package that you have? It literally happened to me last week. This stuff works. So I want you to also realize that money loves clarity. So we're going to get a little bit tangible here. Now, what I mean about this is some of my private clients, they fall off the wagon with setting money goals each week. And I have to remind them, I go, all right, it's Monday. Tell me what your money goal is. Some of them will sit at the same money goal for a little bit until they feel like they've got this consistency and momentum, and then they'll go to the next one. But I want you to say, well, where are you right now? Like, do you know exactly what your numbers are? Because if you don't know yet, I need you to go and do that. So first of all, go and look at your bank account, look at your accounting software. Where are you right now? And then you can do this on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, however often you want to. I would suggest just taking 15 minutes out of your calendar per week just to have a look over this so that you're really on top of your numbers. Now, once you have clarity, you know what goal you're going for. You've set a goalpost. Energetically, you know where you're headed. Now, you start taking action toward that. So what does that look like? Look at the micro actions. So number one, you have an offer, which might be a package. Let me know if you want the link to packages are the answer. I'll put that into the show notes. You might have a package. You offer the discovery call option in your stories each day. People book a discovery call, you offer them the package. How many packages would it take to reach your goal? Let's say you've got a $3,000 goal and your package is $1,000. You only need 3 sales a week. Can you see how this isn't a lot of work? Once you have things set up that work for you and you have clarity, it is very easy to take micro actions to have massive celebrations. So the next thing I want you to have a think about is you are creating things for yourself. I want you to take moments of those clarity, moments of gratitude, and moments to celebrate. Because what this does, it does work in a neuroscience way. It's connecting more of the, oh, we like this feeling to the present moment. And go, oh, I did it. Oh, I did it. Yes. And you're getting this yes information through, which is building more evidence that you can do it. It's building more evidence to money that you can receive it. It's building more evidence to your bank account that it can hold it, right? Now, the next thing is, if any of this is like bringing up emotion for you, if any of this is like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start, then maybe you just need to read a few books and get started there. Maybe you start with a really simple spreadsheet. I even used to write things down in a notepad just so that I could add things up manually and I could know exactly where I was with my numbers. But I just want you to start with a really, really basics. Money likes to know what purpose it has in your life. So there's no use just saying, I want to have a $10,000 month. I want to have a $20,000 month without telling money what your intention is for it. So for example, I remember when I was first going towards 10K months, I was going, all right, I really, really want to take the kids on a holiday. I wanted to upgrade the car and I wanted to go into a particular mastermind. I had these really clear goals. I ended up doing a 26K launch in that month. I was like, I did it. I didn't just get 10K. I had 26K sitting in my account, like more than what was normally sitting there, which absolutely blew my mind. This is because for the first time I had clarity. For the first time I really set the goal. And for the first time I just set the intention of where I was headed with it. And I did my best on the way there. Back in those days, I hustled and grind because that's the way I thought that I had to do it. But these days, I'm much more relaxed about it. I hold that more space of neutrality and put a positive intention out there every single day for wherever the person is. May this land with them. May this land with them. May they see who I am and want to come closer to me. Because again, all of this is the energetics of life and business. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. And you get to be the driver, you get to be the main character, you get to be the person who makes the choice. This is otherwise known as agency. So if you think about if you have your true self leading the way, you're in alignment, it makes it extremely easy to find clarity around money, clarity around your life and business, and what steps to take each day. If you're letting life happen to you, it's like you're standing in front of one of those ball machines. That's the visual I've got. Like the ball are coming and you're like, don't know how to defend yourself. But when you're the main character, you're hitting those back over the net with ease. Yeah? So, to take away from today, what I want you to do is get really clear about what it is that you want. Get truthful with yourself about where you are right now and start to take those micro actions. Start to reiterate the reframes each day. Get curious around, well, how can this happen? How can I, rather than I don't have? Because just saying I don't have reinforces not having it. So remember, there's always more. You always have access to more. There are always different ways to do things. So just because somebody's told you to do it one way doesn't mean it's the only way. And you get to be the driver here. You get to make the choice. So instead of avoiding any of this, I want you to make the choice to step into it, have the hard conversations, get uncomfortable with it, make mistakes, but calculated ones. Take risks for yourself. And if you want to know what books I recommend around this, go to my social media and send me a DM. So go to @AmyMingan on Instagram, send me a DM that says book list, and I'll send you through my book list. It has energetics around money, like the psychology of money. I've got books there around like how to have more, how to attract more. Some that are really, really funny to listen to as well. And there's also some that teach you about investing. Something that I'm moving more and more into, particularly I'm in Australia, so particularly as the Aussie dollar changes, I am diversifying right now and it feels really, really wholesome. So yeah, I think this is just such an empowered place for women to come into their business, for women to be able to make these great choices for themselves and for their future. And go and have fun with it. Go and enjoy yourself with it. Make sure that you're paying yourself every week. And if you've got any questions, please reach out to me on social media. My inbox is open to you. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening.